All right. We're back into our normal recording space, at least. Another day where I woke up late in the first game. Yeah. But ultimately, I feel like I caught enough of that game in Detroit to have an opinion on it for tomorrow's video. So there's that. Um, this is kind of the issue with being like a day behind and stuff. You're looking at current games while recording new ones, and like it's yeah, weekend games are gonna be tough for me. So yeah. The first game we got to talk about though is Cleveland and Miami. That was the game that came on first. Now, luckily for me, in that game, I can have more than enough opinion on it, and there's very little to talk about. Darius Garland did not play that game. So I want you to take everything that I just said and realize that Darius Garland did not play in that game. Donovan Mitchell had 13 points in that game. The Miami Heat almost lost by 40. I feel like there is no need to even really talk about this game. There's not a lot of stuff to break down in it, to talk about it. Miami had a piss poor performance, to say the least. And that series is over. It is definitely over now that it's up 3-0. There is no way a 10th seed in Miami's caliber could beat a 60-win team. I never thought they could beat a 60-win team, but I didn't think they would get swept in a manner like this. So yeah, it's over. Even if they come back game four, honestly, they would be too demoralized, in my opinion, to come back in game four. I have never been in a locker room in that scenario, but I know that it's really hard to get yourself motivated for a game like this after a loss like that, especially this deep into a series where you know you could probably just be going home at any point in time. So barring a serious injury from someone else, this series is done. The only thing that I could see that will prolong this series is if the Cavs decide losing a game might not be that bad to get Darius Garland some more time to rest. But that's not going to happen. So we should look forward to the future and what else there is to talk about. By the way, I'm watching Minnesota's game with LA right now. They're about to go to halftime. I thought it would be smarter to start recording the video now, so I have more time to do the video. Because again, I'm watching and recording at the same time. It is tough. Yeah, this is what happens when you say you're gonna watch all the play, and that's a major 3. Jesus Christ. Okay. The second game though was much more entertaining, much more interesting, and much more believable results too. So the Thunder did sweep Memphis. Ja did not play, but honestly, this game was even closer than the last game. And I don't just mean that in the terms of the final score. I mean, they were going back and forth. Shea finally had the Shea game I was looking for, where he was driving, not settling for jumpers nearly as much. It seems like he's finally warmed all the way up into the playoff. The intensity of it hasn't gotten to him yet. Now, I will say that game, the series he just played is not going to be as physical as the next one. It isn't. The players that he played against are not as good as the ones he's going to play against in the next round. And the team he played against is not going to be as good as they played in the first round. But I don't expect Shea to be as bad as he was to start off the series. I think this was probably the worst series I've seen from him in the playoffs because, well, quite frankly, he hasn't been to the playoffs that often. Last year was his first real year in the playoffs. As the number one guy, he's obviously had some playoff experience playing with Chris Paul and that Thunder squad in that year in the bubble. But no, this is obviously much different from that, right? So this game came down, and I can finally pull up the stats because this game is at halftime. I can finally pull those up. That game came down to the wire, in my opinion. And the thing about it wasn't just that Memphis was just really good. It was just OKC was good too, and their physicality and defense is why they eventually won the game. But it wasn't like they couldn't win. They were beyond close. I don't really know how else to say it other than they were knocking at the doorstep. Now, I never thought for a second that they could win the game. I was never in any doubt that OKC would win this game and pull off the sweep. But it was very close all throughout. Oh, dang, it's pulled up Saturdays. I guess today is Monday. Oh, it's coming out of the wrong week. Anyway, let me pull this up finally. And I gotta also pull my cord over so my laptop doesn't die mid-recording, because that would be like the end of the world for me. Also, yeah, no, if you were waiting for a Jared Allen game and an Evan Mobley game, Evan Mobley finally had his game in game 2. That was rather impressive, but game 3 is definitely where it showed up the most. Yeah, and Allen also had a good game, so there's that. Yeah, that game is pretty over. Yeah, 117 to 115 was the final score of that Grizzlies game. Sorry, I'm not talking about these linear. These games are very important, but also I just want to like express that I am not feeling at my best right now. I am very tired at this moment, and more importantly than that, I'm just feeling a little bit depressed. Not that I don't think anyone would care. So, Zach Edey had another Zach Edey game so far. I think he'll be back next year to improve. Not sure what the role will be on the team, but I assume he'll be better next year. Probably some things he has to adjust for, keeping the ball up higher. And Jaren Jackson had a bad game, so I'm not really sure. They got great production from Scottie Pippen Jr. He fouled out, I'm pretty sure, though, at the last second, which is why this game ended the way it did. Bane had a solid game. Not shooting well from the field because the defense was really good and physical, but he got to the free throw line often, and that's impressive for me. That's impressive to me. I was just really impressed with how the Memphis Grizzlies played without Ja. They're very used to playing without Ja, so this shouldn't come as a surprise, but I am surprised that they were able to take a team this far down to a one-possession game, really, especially with Shea going off the way they did in this manner to even come close to even going this close. You know, I didn't see that, especially because like with all due respect, every guy on the Thunder, with the exception of Chet, that was like really significant for their offense, was having a good game. The players that I expected to have great offense were playing great offense, and the players that I expected to have great defense were playing great defense. I'm surprised it came down to one possession, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, there's not much more to talk about that game. Let's talk about the game where it was close. I expected it to be close, but I didn't expect a walk-off dunk. I did not expect a walk-off dunk with literal fractions of a second left. I did not, first of all, not only did I not expect that, but I didn't expect that to happen and there be the red lights the second his fingertips left the ball. I did not expect that. I did not expect them to have to use multiple angles. I did not expect that at all. First of all, I would just like to congratulate the Clippers even for coming close to this game, because this game looked like it was blown wide open in the at halftime. It looked like it was like it wasn't out of reach, obviously, but they had to go on a 27-point run, 27-11 run to even get this game as close as it was in the last final frame of the game. And I really, truly thought it was going to overtime. Zubac tipped the ball back in off a Harden drive that missed. And I thought, oh, well, they're not going to get off a good enough shot for this game, right? We'll go into overtime. And I was worried because the game after this was Rockets and Warriors. And I was looking over like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to truly watch the overtime as in depth as I would like, because I need to see how the Warriors start this game without Jimmy Butler. And for this game to not go into overtime was truly something special. Kawhi had put on a clinic. Just amazing shooting from him again. Not nearly to the degree that we saw in games 2 or even games 3 or game 1, to be honest. But for this series to be tied up the way it is suggests that the Nuggets are not done. Russ obviously did not play last night. So going into the game, I'm hating on Russ. It is what it is. I've acknowledged it at this point. I think I've talked about it multiple times. I just think the guy's a bad decision maker, and he could lose your team a lot of games. Michael Porter Jr. came into this game with a not insignificant shoulder injury, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know how this game would go with that in mind. I was like, well, the Clippers are probably gonna win this one. Murray had another game where he stunk it up. That's all I have to say. He was awful. Offensively, defensively, he is not who he needs to be for this team to win a championship. For them to win this game, it really came down for the production that they got from almost everybody else. Christian Braun stepped up and gave them 17 points. Michael Porter Jr., again, playing through an injury, stepped up and gave him 17 points. But this is not an understatement to say. And by the way, Gordon gave him 14 points. It doesn't seem like a lot, but that really adds up when you think about that both of these teams were the final seconds of the game. 99-99, sub 100 games. If you were looking for 90s basketball, early 2000s basketball scores where the game is as physical as it gets and these players are playing at all-time offensive levels, but like the role players are just not as quite as good as you're used to seeing in the last 5 or so years maybe. This is what you should be looking for. This was beautiful. It really was. Jokic was playing coach as well, by the way. Now, obviously, amazing minds of the game think as well, but he was talking to his coach like, dude, we need to make this change. We need to do this. We need to do this and make it do this quickly and make these adjustments. I need DeAndre Jordan to be in the game and to get this rebound really quickly so when we go in the half, we can get him to switch to possession and stuff like that. Now, obviously, a good mind is thinking this too, but like their coach heard Jokic and was like, yeah, I agree. By the way, Jokic had a monster game. Jokic, some fouls. I'm just gonna accept. At this point, I've accepted that the fouls that he gets are not indicative of him like being the world's worst defender. 2 of them are from like bad defender moments, and a lot of the other one and the other half are frustration fouls. The frustration fouls need to stop. They need to stop. That's an issue that might bite them in the ass eventually. But yeah, very physical game. You can see that in the fouls, and it's not just because of and the fouls they were calling were legitimate fouls. Don't get it twisted. So yeah, Jokic, I'm saying the numbers, but like I need you to think about this. 36, 21, and 8 with 2 turnovers. That's it. And the turnovers weren't from bad passes or mistimed stuff. These were like offensive fouls were their turnovers, where someone drew a charge on Jokic. These are just like, I don't know what to say. 3 for 6 from 3. That's the amount of threes that I really want him to take. Not more than that. I don't see him as the world's greatest volume 3-point shooter, but he has good percentages from there. 14 of 25. Like, what? The man was like a god, to be honest. Christian Braun, again, I really want to appreciate and talk about him. Despite shooting poorly from 3, not being the world's greatest spacer, he was amazing for them. And that's how the game crumbled ultimately. But I don't want to nullify what the Clippers did. I want to talk about that really quickly. Ben Simmons played amazing defense. Again, you're not going to see a lot of stats on this, but he played amazing defense. His switchability was amazing. No one ever talks about that, and I feel like I didn't cover it as well either. And I was wondering why he was getting minutes, because I wasn't paying attention to Ben Simmons as much as I probably should have. Kawhi, 10 of 22 shooting, not the greatest, 40% from 3, and then he got to the free throw line. He got to the free throw line because he was fouled on the 3. I'm assuming, because none of these are technical free throws in my mind. At least that's how I'm remembering it. Norman Powell was a great second option in this game. He's trying to step up and play better. Unfortunately, I think it came to the downside of Harden. I think I need Harden. I need Harden to have the ball more and shoot more. It's not that he's. By the way, his performance was not bad. Like, if you were watching the game, you could see it was what it was. The 4 turnovers is a bit much for me, though. Batum, this is the first game in the series where Batum has not shot well. Bogdanovic, though, had a much better game than he's had in the prior 3 games, to be honest. Because remember, up until that point, he was averaging, I think I did the math in the videos. It was 0.002. That gave him 2/3, so 0.6 points. He is now averaging 7 plus 2, that's 9 over 4 games. That becomes me just divide 9 by 2 and then divide that by 2. 4.5 divided by 2, that's 2.25 points. It's still not great, but much better than it was in the previous game. He's also, had better shooting. He's still a role player, so I'm not going to grill him too much. Derek Jones Jr. was fine this game. I need him to take threes and make them. Chris Dunn also had a poor shooting performance. So if you're feeling like the Clippers lost this game, and it was something that you were just like confused about, yeah, that's the reason. Their like stars weren't bad. The guys that you were expecting to be good were good. It's just the role players didn't play as well as they did in the previous 2 games, and that's why they lost. Yeah, that it was as close as could possibly be. There were some majorly important threes down the stretch. No, not this game. There were majorly important shots made down the stretch, and that if you're a Clippers fan, I don't know how you can wake up in the morning and be like, everything's good, everything's okay. That was heartbreaking in my mind. And I'm a spoiler alert for tomorrow when I talk about the Pistons game, because again, New York took a 3-1 lead, and it was the biggest piece of bullshit ever. Like, the officiating was, especially at the tail end when that last shot. Yeah, that should have been a foul. I can't hide my disgust on that one. That should have been a foul. One more game to talk about, and that's the LA. Oof, I said LA. Wow, we are just not in the zone. Warriors Rockets. Final game we gotta talk about. This probably won't be as long as people are expecting. And it's not as long as my expectations either. That's a bit disappointing, but alright, so let's talk about this. This was the Amen Thompson game I've been waiting for offensively. So like there's a lot of turnovers here, and some of these came in the very tail end of the game and they were pretty bad. These were, Jalen Green had another game. So there's been, how many games of this has there been? It's a series. There's been 3 games, and the Jalen Green cycle is exactly where I thought it'd be at this point. If you don't know, it's really just like take a dice, right? And just make it flat, right? Make it like a coin now, right? Take that coin. On this side of the coin, there's Jalen Green's godly performances. And on this side of the coin, there's Jalen Green's not so good performances. And by not so good, I mean abysmally bad, to the point where you're like, why is this guy in the NBA? Especially because of his shot selection. The shot selection is the real reason why you're like, why is he in the NBA? Doug, I have no idea what's up with him. This is just who Jalen Green is, obviously. It's the reason why he's not a core piece of this team's like championship aspirations and goals. This team does not have championship aspirations and goals because of this nigga. I'm gonna be honest. If he was a consistent offensive player and an offensive generator that this team really needs him to be, this would be a much different team. Don't know what to tell you. This, mind you, the Rockets lost this game without Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler wasn't there, so I was like, they're gonna be able to like triple and double team Steph, and nigga, they could damn near run a boxing one on this motherfucker at some point in time. So let's talk about the Warriors and why they won this game. So first of all, Gary Payton was a major bonus to them when he was in the game. It was amazing for them while they were in the game. The plus minus is not going to show you that because some minutes he had, the Rockets had some good time. But it was good to him. When he was off the court, I swear to God, it felt different. He was amazing. His defense was great. He gave him 16 points. Really good efficiency. Didn't miss that much. There was like very little turnovers. He generated turnovers. I think he had a couple of steals, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't have any steals in the box score, but I'm sure that he had those deflections that made it where just the turnovers were coming in and out. Draymond Green's defense was amazing. Again, his offense is not what you think it was, but like, yeah, no, it's Draymond Green. If you either know about it now at this point in your life or you don't. There's not much more to say about that. Kuminga came off the bench and tried to give them some of the production that they were missing from Jimmy Butler, and he succeeded at that. And these shots were very important. They came in the very important moments of the game. He did not attempt any threes, and I would wish he would attempt some, but they didn't give him that role. That's not the shots he was taking. Steph is brilliant. Honestly, if you want to pin the win on anything, it's because of how brilliant Steph was. And I'm going to be completely honest. That is about all I have to say. I have to get back to catching this Minnesota Timberwolves game, as there's multiple seconds of the clock that has already faded away. And if you like this video, go ahead and like it. I know this is not one of my best videos, period. Yeah, I've had a hard time. I'm going to be honest. But if you liked it, like it. If you didn't like it, don't dislike it. Tell me why you didn't like it in the comment section below. Probably have a good idea why you didn't. And that's it.